Mary had a little lamb. The fault.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anything going on today?
Something happened? Is it something going? Yeah, all right. Mwah, chef's kiss. Nicely done, Hill. Nicely done, Madam Secretary. Actually, so you heard the news. There's just there's no getting around it. So the amount of people that are turned off by this is almost none. It's just like, I mean, the people who were voting for Biden are still voting for Biden. You understand that, right? The people who are voting for Trump, I think it was, and I don't know, polls don't do it for me, especially not in June or May or April or March or a year out or 6 months, But they're telling us that the latest poll was an NPR PBS poll, okay? It was a NewsHour Marist poll, and the full survey results were released Thursday morning. And so this was before the verdict came yesterday at about 4:20 in the afternoon. The jury sent a note, as you all know, saying we've reached a verdict. And it was really, so Trumpian in that it was totally chaotic. Because the judge had thought that the jury was going to be dismissed at 4:30, and he was sort of kind of telling everybody, get ready to go. They haven't reached a verdict yet. It's 4:20. Oh, wait, I got a note. Oh, wait. Okay, everybody gather everybody. And then they all got together a half hour later after, filling out like 34 different pieces of paper, and then read them out loud. Guilty, 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 guilty. Guilty, like 34 times. It's like, for people who like a chance, like lock her up and stuff. This was a great chance, guilty, guilty, guilty. And they read it 34 times. And I was kind of shocked that Trump was able to sit up straight and stay awake through the whole thing. But wouldn't it have been great if if Mr. Blanche, the man who decided no defense is the best defense. I never heard that as an expression. I never heard that as a football thing. I never heard it as a soccer thing. I never heard it in lacrosse, okay? I never heard no defense is a good defense. That's apparently, that was his strategy. That was his tactic. That's what they did. They put on no defense, as you know. They tried with Mr. Costello. Remember him? He was presenting himself to Michael Cohen as a trusted ally, a trusted attorney of Rudy Giuliani's. Remember that? And he was the one that was given side-eye to Judge Merchant. He was very rude. The judge characterized him as contemptuous. Okay, so that guy was brought on as a witness. And, of course, Michael Cohen didn't trust Robert Costello because Robert Costello was Rudy Giuliani's attorney, and he knew if he talked to Robert Costello, everything he said would go straight to Trump, right? So he didn't hire. But that's the witness that they brought, and that witness literally closed the loop on the conspiracy that led straight to Donald Trump by saying, did you work for Rudy Giuliani? Yes, I did. And were you representing Rudy? Yeah. Well, why'd you go to Michael? Well, because, Trump needed to know stuff, and I thought I could get him to confide in me. What? I mean, this was some bumbling stuff. This was some really bad defense. I've never seen no defense ever like this. And obviously, the reason why there was no defense is because it's indefensible. There's no defense for what they actually got caught doing, which was entering into a conspiracy with each other to cover up something that was legal with unlawful means. I mean, this is the clown car, okay? This is really the Keystone Cops. This is really the bumbling freaking idiots that are Rudy Giuliani and his attorney, and the only person in this whole thing that seemed capable of pulling off a caper was Michael Cohen. He was the only person that was, smart enough to do this right. And, Donald Trump, in his, Trumpian way, decided that he was done with Michael Cohen. He had used him, and he was throwing him away like he was a handy wipe or something. 1001 uses, then toss him away. And Michael Cohen was having none of it. Michael Cohen was pissed that Donald Trump had thrown him away that way. And when Michael Cohen was facing the music, Michael Cohen stayed loyal to Trump. He really did. He stayed loyal when Cyrus Vance, who wouldn't prosecute Donald Trump, found that fascinating, but he did prosecute Michael Cohen. Something really ugly was going on in New York, like Rudy with the New York field office of the FBI and Cyrus Vance as the, district attorney in Manhattan prior to Alvin Bragg being the district attorney in Manhattan, which everybody said, Alvin Bragg is going to, ruin his life. He's going to ruin his career. Looking pretty good to me right now. But just an amazing thing that Cohen was being prosecuted. And you remember back in the day when Michael Cohen was like, he's not paying my legal fees? Donald Trump is not paying my legal fees. And he threw him overboard. Big mistake. Big. Huge. I have to go shop now for another lawyer. I mean, it was just the stupidest move. It was so Trumpian. It was so obvious. And people are literally saying Trump was railroaded. Well, if he was railroaded by his own self. And, if it's true that everything Trump touches dies, then it includes Donald Trump manhandling his own damn self. And here's like the most amazing thing, okay? So Todd Blanche was asked whether or not Donald Trump was involved in his own defense, right?
How involved was Donald Trump in his own defense?
I mean, what do you think? I mean, very involved. And he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. He jokingly said to us a lot, sometimes he wanted to be the litigator. He wanted to be the one that was actually arguing because he's a smart guy and he knows what he's doing. We made every decision together. We did. And there were things that he was frustrated with. The judge several months ago, there was we wanted to be able to argue reliance of counsel, that to some extent President Trump was relying on his lawyer, and the judge didn't allow us to do that, and things like that where he would really push us and say, well, why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? It was an honor for me to spend the last 6 weeks with him, defending him.
Please don't kill me. Please don't sick your sycophants on me. Don't target me for, anything that you're targeting people for right now. Don't target me for protest or death or flying flags above my house. Please let me, just leave me alone.
And please pay me.
I'm sure he got something in advance. I mean, he's not that dense, is he? He's not that, dumb. But, it's an amazing thing because, when Donald Trump had the chance to testify, he said he wanted to testify. Blanche said Donald Trump was in charge of his own defense. He said Donald Trump, how involved do you think he was? He's a micromanager, right? Which is really what his downfall is that he was a micromanager. And so he didn't rely on counsel. That's why, first of all, he didn't rely on counsel. We know that because there were notes that were taken. There were recordings that were made. There were documents that were submitted as evidence. There were text messages. Please, give me a break. This was not one person's word about any damn thing, okay? This was a compilation of documents, emails, phone calls, text messages. The guy that's sitting on Rikers Island. Now, why didn't they call Weisselberg if they thought Weisselberg was going to exculpate Donald Trump? Weisselberg has evidence that shows that Donald Trump was completely innocent of anything that he's being charged. Well, they didn't call him, okay? Why didn't they call Donald Trump? Donald Trump said he was in charge of his own defense, and he said he wanted to testify. Why? Why didn't he show up for himself? How come he didn't do it? Why didn't he do it? He actually had this unhinged press conference today where he explains why he didn't testify. And he said he didn't testify because they would have gotten into every nook and cranny of his life. Not permitted, okay? Not permitted. Objections would have been waged. They would have been sustained if they were not pertinent, if they were not germane, if they were not applicable to the crimes that the jury was considering, right? And is the jury rigged too? Was it a rigged jury? Because we looked at the jury. We had some concerns about some of the jury members who, really did like Trump. They really were. They were very much Trump voters. They thought he was candid. They respected his candor. Remember her? Yeah. A lot of them got their news from freaking TikTok. I don't know.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
All right, everybody, it's 21 after. I just want to show you the front page of our newspaper here in Palm Beach County today. This is how it looks. See that right there? Isn't that beautiful? Don't you want that on your driveway? I know I did. It was great. And the other one that I have delivered daily, the Wall Street Journal, really nice job here. He looks like he's crying almost. Look at him. Look, everybody. Donald Trump is almost crying. He looks so defeated. I love that. I will save this one for a very, very long time. We have the New York Times. Washington Post was the whole, I don't have that delivered. I do that online. But the Washington Post, the whole front page just said, guilty. So good. So now we get to say convicted felon Donald J. Trump. Every time we say his name, Donald J. Trump, convicted felon, or convicted felon Donald J. Trump, whichever trips off your tongue most naturally, please don't hesitate to use it. It is official. It was hard and it was earned, and it's his now. It's his nom de plume. It's his moniker. It's the nickname that we've all been searching for him. Orange Jesus. No, it's convicted felon. Donald J. Trump, convicted felon. Feels good, sounds good. Do it. Gary in Fort Lauderdale.
Randi, congratulations.
Thank you.
It was a long time coming.
It was. And I'm glad the stupid trial that we couldn't see is over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing better is he would be over. Okay, here's a question for you.
He's not over yet.
Who in the history of this country or in our lifetimes has been worse for the country than convicted felon Donald Trump?
Well, Brett has suggested Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy, was worse for America. And, it's kind of hard to disagree with that, so I won't. But, when you think of really bad presidents, Andrew Jackson comes screaming to mind. He's the one that did all the Indian removal, genocide stuff. Yeah, he was pretty bad.
I'm sure you saw the movie.
Which one?
With DiCaprio, the award-winning movie.
Oh, the
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, that had.
That was so good. I think I watched it because of you.
Yeah, you did, and I didn't like it.
Oh, I loved it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. I didn't want to waste 3 hours of your valuable day of your life.
Well, I
and
took
you
it
know,
in history
I'm
lesson.
a Martin Scorsese fan. Okay, but
Yeah.
really, honestly, come on.
All right. So anyway, you're
Yeah.
mentioning people over 100 years ago. What about in our lifetimes? I can't think of anybody worse.
Clarence Thomas is pretty detrimental to the prospect of a free country. Thomas, what's his name? Alito is pretty bad.
Leonard Leo, maybe?
Leonard Leo, yeah, he's a disaster.
Yeah.
But he's not elected to anything, so we sort of
Nobody's still
him
bad for the country.
Terribly bad for the country, like really dangerous. All of these billionaires that are giving Donald Trump millions of dollars today after he was convicted. Millions.
$35 million in 6 hours.
You know what? Well, it's the big guys. It's the Schwarzmans. It's the billionaire class. And you know what's his name's? He's dead. Sheldon Adelson's wife. She's giving million. You know why they're doing it now, though? Because, listen, if you're an investor, what's your mantra? Buy low. Well, he's really low. He's marked down. He's Kmart. He's the blue light special of.
That's a very interesting way to put that.
It's true, and that's why. So they're showing up for him now, right? And he's weak, and so when he's strong, if God forbid he ever gets strong again, he will remember them. He will remember that they showed up for him when he was down. They showed up for him when he was weak. They showed up when he was convicted of felonies, 34 of them, you know? And it's so interesting. It's 34 felonies and 34 million. I just find that, fascinating. The number for today, everybody, is 34. It's my lucky number.
Well, I'm sure you heard, now this is off subject a little bit, but I'm sure you heard how President Biden is going to allow United States weapons to be used in Russia, against Russia.
Thank God.
Yes.
I mean, how are they supposed to defend themselves, really? You know,
exactly. But what's the chances of that backfiring? Because if it did,
who cares?
that could be very bad for him.
I don't care anymore. I just, look, this is full-on slaughter that's going on in these in Eastern
like Gaza.
Yeah, it is. It is like did you see the presidenting today? Did you see him?
Of course I do. He's fantastic.
He was fantastic today. He announced today that Israel has come to the table with an offer for Hamas for a full, sustainable, permanent ceasefire. And he begged Hamas to take it because, and he said the only reason, he told the Israeli people that the reason why Israel was able to offer a permanent ceasefire today is because they have decimated Hamas. They don't believe that Hamas has the ability to do another October 7th. And that is, their bar for, continuing or for pulling back. And they were able to capture this moment. And Joe Biden actually said, don't let this moment go. Don't let this moment slip away. Every American who's been protesting this, every American who gives a damn about this, time to call your leader, time to call your representative, time to call your whoever it is, your governor, and tell them all that you are in favor of Hamas accepting these terms. And the terms are release all the hostages and Israel will leave. And then,
well, wouldn't that be something?
Yes.
So here's a question. Oh, gosh.
It's okay.
Okay. So Joe Biden, he stops a war that was on for 20 years that nobody could stop.
Right.
And now he might be an important part of Middle East peace.
Yes.
What more can the guy do?
I don't know. Honestly, he's forgiven 5 million people from the heavy burden of student loan debt. He did a child tax credit that took half of Americans' poorest children out of poverty. He got us through COVID. He got vaccines. He sent me free tests. He sent you free tests. He did everything by the book. He did everything right. Okay? He's doing.
And all these people are able to look at is the price of a gallon of gas and a dozen eggs.
You know what? I buy eggs and gas. It's not. I just bought the Eggland's Best, which are the top shelf of the egg. Okay, here in Florida, it's the top shelf of the egg. $3.14 for a dozen. Okay, could be less, but $3.14 is okay. It's not $9.
I think I paid $1.98 for jumbos.
Yeah, if you buy the Publix brand, it's like.
I don't go to Publix.
Oh, where do you go?
If I told you, well, I go. Okay, you ever hear of Presidente?
Oh yeah,
I like going to Presidente.
I do too because they have this thing called Lozano. You should try it. It's a salsa that you put on everything. It's the Costa Rican version of Worcestershire sauce. It's
no kidding.
Delicious.
I like their produce.
Oh yeah, Presidente's
great.
great.
I bought a watermelon for Julie.
Oh, that was
She
sweet.
wanted one, so I brought her one.
You're a good man.
Well, not as good as you, Randy. Hey, congratulations.
Thank
it's been great.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye. Lenora in Massachusetts, you want to hold for a moment, please, because we're going to break. Thank you, honey.
Okay, Randy.
Appreciate
Just
it.
for you.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Nice hold. I see you.
You saw me?
Nice job.
I am so bad at the phone. Everyone that knows me knows my phone blew up last night. Like, blew up. And I'm still having to explain to my closest friends. Hi, Rhonda. Hi, T. I'm still having to explain to them how it's possible that this man could be a convicted felon and still be able to run for president. They're like, why is that okay? I go, I don't know. And, the jury is still out about whether or not he can vote for himself here in Florida. Right? He may be able to, and he may not be able to vote for himself. So they're saying to me, are you saying he could vote? He can't vote, but he can be president? That's exactly what I'm saying. And Rhonda wanted to know why. America.
To speak to Randy, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Hold on. I'm coming, Lenora. Hi.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, Randy.
Thank you for holding. I appreciate that goodwill.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
I think you're brilliant. You explain things so understandably. And 34 times guilty, I'm so afraid it's not going to make a difference.
Yeah, I know. I feel that way, too. Listen, the people who were going to vote for him, he may lose somewhere between 6 and 17% of them. Lenora, in a close election, that matters. That's number one.
All right.
Okay.
That sounds good.
And he will not, he's not going to gain any votes because he's a convicted felon, okay? He can only lose votes because he's a convicted felon. So, listen, let's hope that the 6% loss or the 17% at the best loss happens in swing states. Let's hope it happens in Michigan. Let's hope it happens in Pennsylvania. Let's hope it happens, hey, losing 17% of the vote in Florida? Oh, my God. Election.
That would be That could turn things around because I'm in Massachusetts. My vote just doesn't really count.
I hear you. I know.
And it really stinks. As far I liked your nickname for him. I've been referring to him as Demento Don because I used to be a geriatric care manager. I know dementia when I see it.
You think he has something going on?
Oh God, yes. He has trouble forming words. He starts with the slurring. He seems to sundown. He gets very angry and combative. Those are signs.
He does. He gets, but I think he's always been like that. That's the crazy part, But I was listening to Anthony Scaramucci, and the only reason why I would listen to Anthony Scaramucci do anything is because Anthony Scaramucci is now an ever-Trumper, and he was he was commenting on the tells that he knows Donald Trump commits when he's lying. And this move, where Donald Trump's hands go out like this, like he's playing an accordion.
Sure. What does Bill Maher call it? The two-fisted guy pump?
Oh no, that's when he's in a porn movie with other men. Let's say, okay, that's a different move. But
okay.
But the one where his hands are wide and he looks like he's playing an accordion. Anthony Scaramucci calls it the accordion, and he says that when Donald Trump does the accordion, he's lying. Right.
Oh, interesting.
It was very telling. Well, he said it's a tell. And so, I'm watching this tape today knowing this about what Anthony Scaramucci has observed about Donald Trump. And he's getting to the portion of his raving, frantic, lunatic, fringy. He said it was a press conference, but he took no questions from the press at all. I mean, it was such a bait and switch, and the press, even Fox was pissed. They were really angry because he got them all there because he said he was going to answer questions about being recently convicted of 34 felony charges, okay? And he didn't take any questions. But he was doing the accordion while he was saying that that he wanted to testify, and I just. It's like, wow, that's kind of cool knowing that.
That is hilarious.
I know.
That is hilarious.
I know.
Oh, my God.
Well, fingers crossed, babe. I mean, we only got, less than 6 months to go. What is this, June?
I feel a little bit hopeful. I'm trying to be hopeful. I talk to my kids who are in their 30s, and one of my son is like, Biden's so old. I said, it doesn't matter.
They're the same age.
Well, no, it's not that he's a Trumper. He just feels like, the Dems should have gotten somebody else. He's an environmentalist.
I hear that. I understand that. I really do.
There's no choice. There's no choice. It's between democracy and fascism at this point.
But also, Donald Trump and Joe Biden are literally 3 years apart in age. I mean,
right. I mean, they're both bad choices as far as the age goes.
The age is equal. So if that's his, deciding, marker, if that's where they're both equal. So wipe that slate clean and start again assessing.
Both my kids live in South Carolina, and I said, we got to turn them pink. We got to stop with this deep red crap.
This deep red crap is, literally, it was South Carolina that took the 30,000 black voters and took them out of a district and scattered them into all. Yeah, that's South Carolina. Okay.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I keep telling my kids, you got to get more politically active.
They're
just trying to live their lives. So
I know, but the voting is private, and believe me, South Carolina needs people to vote on behalf of the people that can't, that had their votes diluted.
That's a good way to put it. I'm going to quote you to my kids.
Awesome.
Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My
it's been
pleasure.
A pleasure speaking with you.
Equally. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, honey. I just felt a kinship with it. Could you tell? I was bonding with Lenora. Yeah, there's just some people. I got, I just met a friend. I know I did.
Would you like to bond with Randy, too? Call in.
Call in, 561-270-3844. Yeah, let's do it. It's Friday. Peter in Florida.
Hi, Randy.
Hi.
I'm like you. I'm a former New Yorker. Astoria, New York.
Yeah. Oh, I lived there.
Yes.
I lived right off Ditmars. I lived right like a block from the L, okay?
I lived 2 blocks down from you then.
Yeah.
On 37.
Oh, I know exactly.
Anyway.
Yeah. Then I got some money and I moved to Hellgate.
I stayed in Astoria just because I had a huge apartment and it was cheap.
Yeah, me too. Me too. You know, our apartment was so cool. It was a 2-bedroom. I mean, it was two apartments that they made, 2 1-bedroom apartments that they made into a 2-bedroom. It was me and Terry. Terry's listening right now. Hi, T. And so Terry found this apartment, and because it was 2 apartments put into 2 bedrooms, I had a kitchen in my bedroom. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Anyway, I'm now down in Florida.
Me too. Small world.
Yes. And now I believe that Donald Trump cannot vote in Florida until he has served his sentence.
Okay, let's go over this, okay? Because it's not as straightforward as you might think, but it is. So here's the thing. You're right. Felons in Florida cannot vote. Thank you so much, Ron DeSantis. Okay. So Donald Trump was convicted in New York, but he votes in Florida. So you would think as a normal person, and this is what MAGA has to understand when they go, well, you know, this is such an obscure law that they used against Donald Trump. Yeah, well, I got news for you. They're going to use an obscure law for Donald Trump here in Florida. The obscure law is that if you were convicted in New York State, which is what he was, and then you vote in Florida, Florida could defer to the state that you were convicted in and apply their law. Well, lucky for Donald Trump, he was convicted of 34 felonies, did I mention? In New York, where felons can vote. So he might be able to vote. However, I think there's another crime that was committed just today, right on the TV.
Oh.
Yes, that could put Donald Trump in jail. And in that case, no, he would not be able to vote anywhere, because if you're in jail anywhere, you can't vote. So when we come back, I will play for you 2 clips that I think are very important and are applicable to what I just said. And I want you to rack your brain in the Randi Rhodes way that you can and try to think of what could he have done today that would cause him to go to jail.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Okay, let's just turn on the TV for a brief moment for a legal expert to explain the state of play.
Let me begin with you. Walk us through what kind of sentence Donald Trump will be facing.
Anything from no time to up to 4 years. We hear the term 34 counts. Yes, it's true. But effectively for sentencing, that's 1 count. It would all be served concurrently at the same time. There's no way this would be happening consecutively. The real question's going to be, even if there is no jail time, which most people expect no jail time.
First-time offender.
Correct. Low-level felony, lowest level in New York State. But the question becomes, okay, what about the possibility of home confinement? What about the possibility of community service? What about the possibility of probation? And question 2 is, when would it be served? And it would likely happen after all the appeals have been exhausted.
And one other question on that. In Florida, convicted felons cannot vote until after they serve their sentence, but there's a quirk in the New York law that will allow Donald Trump to vote in this election?
Right, because Florida law defers to the place where the conviction occurred. The conviction occurred in New York, so New York law applies, and in New York, the only way you can't vote is if you are a felon currently serving time in prison, so it won't prevent him from voting.
Okay, so Dan Abrams is a very trusted name in law. Okay. And he's correct about deferring to the state in which you were convicted, even here in Florida, where felons cannot vote. They cannot vote. And, of course, DeSantis will move heaven and earth to make sure that Donald Trump can vote if he's free, if he's out, if he's not in prison. And he probably, well, the sentencing, it's going to be interesting. The sentencing happens, what, June? What's the date? I wrote it down. Sentencing is July 11th. July 11th, okay? And it's like 5 days before the convention, a few days after the debate. Oh, this debate's going to be one for the history books. Really, it will be one that your kids, children will have to watch in their 4th grade civics class if we survive. Okay, if we survive that long. Okay, now here's the important part. This is the clip that I really, really need for you to see. Not because he's unhinged and not because he's a lunatic and not because, he's Donald Trump, but because he does something in this clip that could put him in jail. Yeah,
if I wrote down and paid a lawyer, and by the way, this was a highly qualified lawyer. Now, I'm not allowed to use his name because of the gag order. But, you know, he's a sleazebag. Everybody knows that. Took me a while to find out.
10 years.
But he was effective. He did work. But he wasn't a fixer. He was a lawyer. You know, they like to use the word fixer. He wasn't a fixer. He was a lawyer. At the time, he was a fully accredited lawyer.
Whoops. Okay. Donald Trump is still under a gag order. Oh, yeah, he is. Judge Merchan did not lift that gag order. And Donald Trump has been under a gag order that requires him not to denigrate, not to insult, not to call sleazebag, not to use names against the jurors and the witnesses. And last we checked, Michael Cohen was a witness in this particular case. And Donald Trump obviously referred to him as the fixer, referred to him as my lawyer. Michael Cohen did not do legal work. He wasn't a litigator. He didn't represent the Trump organization. He was Donald Trump's fixer. Whenever something bad happened, he would be dispatched like a hitman, okay, like a buffer between Donald Trump and the bad thing. That's what Michael Cohen was. And everybody knows it because Michael Cohen told the truth on the stand. He did. He went to jail for lying, so therefore he is a convicted perjurer. He is a convicted liar. There's no getting around that either. However, the jury not only heard from Michael Cohen under oath, but the jury also saw documents. The jury heard the tapes. It's really fascinating that Michael Cohen knew not to trust Donald Trump at any portion of his 10 years working for Donald Trump. And he recorded Donald Trump all the time. And those are the tapes the jury heard. So that's why, Michael Cohen, was there. He was there as sort of a guide through all the evidence and as the linchpin between chain of custody and introducing the evidence so that the jury could consider it. That's why Michael Cohen was there. It wasn't so that you could rely on his trusted, words. That wasn't the reason. However, Michael Cohen was a witness. Donald Trump's under a gag order. Now, Judge Merchan knew Donald Trump was trashing his daughter and knew Donald Trump was trashing court staff, knew Donald Trump was trashing various, lawyers and their families and things like that. And so Judge Merchan put Donald Trump under a partial gag order. He didn't say Donald Trump couldn't discuss him, Judge Merchan. He didn't say Donald Trump couldn't denigrate him or insult him. He didn't say Donald Trump could not talk about any defense he was, trying to put up. He couldn't say, Donald Trump could have said anything he wanted to say. He just couldn't insult or violate the privacy of the jury. And he represented this to his maggots as being unable to talk, being unable to defend himself, being unable to talk about the case. That's just not so. So when Donald Trump was placed under this partial gag order, he kept violating it, as we all know. I think I made the joke, after the 10th time when Judge Merchan, at first Judge Merchan told him, he warned him, if you keep on denigrating, people in this courtroom that work in this court, if you keep on, denigrating family members of people in this court, like my family member, my daughter, blah, 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 I will not warn you anymore. I will warn you, and then I will start fining you. I will actually levy fines against you for violating the gag order. Well, Donald Trump kept on doing it, right? And so he warned him again. Then he started fining him. And he fined Donald Trump 10 distinct and separate times. And I was saying, what is the 10th time is, 10 strikes and you're out? Remember? After the 10th time of violating the gag order, Judge Merchan told him, and the penalty for violating the gag order was $1,000 each time, right? Donald Trump owes the court $10,000 because he violated the gag order 10 separate times. And Merchan was very patient with him because he didn't want to put him in jail. Nobody really wanted to see that happen. And if you were smart, you didn't either. Although a portion of I get the longing. But nobody really wanted to make him into that kind of a martyr, right? So Judge Merchan also did not. And he told him after the 10th fine, the 11th time, 11 strikes and you're out. right? If you do it one more time, then you go to prison. Then you go to prison. Donald Trump did it today. Today. That was today. That was him trashing Michael Cohen as a sleazebag on TV at a phony fake press conference that pissed off the media so bad because they thought they were going to get to ask him questions. And he didn't take any questions because he knows he doesn't have a leg to stand on. The man is so unbelievably guilty, and he just violated the gag order. So Donald Trump may actually end up being incarcerated. He may actually end up being incarcerated for violating the gag order, not necessarily for the 34 felony counts that the jury found him guilty of, but for violating the gag order. Now, if I were Judge Merchan, that's what I would do. That's what I would do, because the news today is such that Donald Trump's sycophants are calling for violence, okay? They are calling for an enormous amount of violence. They are saying they want 1 million armed men. I don't know what's wrong with the women, but we have good aim. They want 1 million armed men to go march on Washington and shoot everybody. I mean, they want to. The things that I saw them write, the things that I saw them post, the things that I saw them saying to each other, it was so hair-raisingly disgusting. They are so, I don't know what to call it. It's beyond anger, okay? They're looking for a reason. They're sort of cult-like Walking Dead, and they want to eat your face is really where they're at now. And they're looking for any excuse at all, any encouragement from this man to go and do bad things, to go and do an enormous amount of damage, an enormous amount of violence. And they are saying they want to do it against people who were in that courtroom, people who conducted this trial, people who represented people in this trial, and people who talk about this trial. They want to cap, I'll just say, they want to cap liberals that are, actually explaining this to people, what happened. And they want to go after the jury, and they want to go after the judge, and they want to go after Michael Cohen, and so if that's true, and I saw them post, but it can't just be a threat. They have to have the intent to actually do this stuff. If Donald Trump is trashing Michael Cohen after seeing all this directed at Michael Cohen and doing violence, Michael Cohen's family, Michael Cohen is not safe in America because of Donald Trump. That's why he should go to jail.
Clear for takeoff. Randi Rhodes.
Mary had a little man.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
The American principle that no one is above the law was reaffirmed. Donald Trump was given every opportunity to defend himself. It was a state case, not a federal case, and it was heard by a jury of 12 citizens, 12 Americans, 12 people like you, like millions of Americans who served on juries. This jury is chosen the same way every jury in America is chosen. It was a process that Donald Trump's attorney was part of. The jury heard 5 weeks of evidence, 5 weeks. And after careful deliberation, the jury reached a unanimous verdict. They found Donald Trump guilty on all 34 felony counts. Now he'll be given the opportunity, as he should, to appeal that decision just like everyone else has that opportunity. That's how the American system of justice works. And it's reckless, it's dangerous, it's irresponsible for anyone to say this was rigged just because they don't like the verdict. Our justice system has endured for nearly 250 years. And it literally is the cornerstone of America, our justice system. The justice system should be respected, and we should never allow anyone to tear it down. It's as simple as that. That's America. That's who we are. And that's who we'll always be, God willing.
God willing. Look, a president. I spy with my own little eye. A president. Presidenting. It's an amazing thing, isn't it? It's an amazing thing. So he managed to, say what he wanted to say to respond to what has just happened to his challenger. For the first time in the history of the United States of America, a president of the United States has been convicted of felonies, and he's still running for another term as president, asking the people of the United States to put a convicted felon at the top of our government. Just you can't make that crap up. And Joe Biden said, this is our justice system. 5 weeks of testimony, a jury that was fairly picked with Donald Trump's attorney actually signing off on these 12, with Donald Trump's defense team not making any really defense. They didn't put up a defense. They didn't put Donald Trump on the stand. They just, but they had every opportunity to do so. They chose not to defend the indefensible. And they allowed for the jury to have the evidence, which was documents and tapes and checks and ledgers and accounting and taxes and all that stuff. All of it. And in less than 12 hours, they brought him in guilty on all 34 felonies. I hate to tell you what Fox is actually doing today. It's the whining and the screaming and the kicking and the moaning and the pointing of the finger and the trashing of your own country and the trashing of your own state and the trashing of your own juries and your own neighbors and your own colleagues. There is no low that they will not go to. There is no limbo bar that is so low that they won't try, like spit on a snake's belly to get under. There's nothing lower. There's no more low to go. We've hit rock bottom with this man, and they're still defending him. They're still saying the whole thing was rigged.
This has been a corrupt proceeding from the very beginning. The charging document fails the Fifth Amendment test of giving due notice to the defendant. The trial itself was a farce conducted by a corrupt judge in New York State.
What?
The jury instructions were a violation of all the regular rules, and the defense team was not given an opportunity to argue the law before the jury.
The defense doesn't get to argue the law before the jury. The judge handles the law. The litigators handle the facts. Joe DeGeneva and his, redheaded wife, they are stepchildren of Fox News now in their elder years, but these were some slick operators. Back in their day, they hunted Clinton. They hunted, the amount of garbage that they were responsible for spewing about the Clintons. It's legion. It's legion. It's legendary. And now they're, also rans there. But you could always count on them to trash their own country. Trust me. You can always, Gloria Tenzing and Joe DeGeneva, if there's a billable hour in it, they will do it. They will do it, whatever it is. They will even slap around their own freaking country, their own jury system, everything. Judge Janine pretty much, described what happened here as if it, as if the witnesses don't matter. The witnesses, the documents, the tapes, they don't matter. You know why they don't matter? Because Stormy Daniels, in her mind, is a hooker. And Michael Cohen is a convicted liar, and therefore you could disregard the documents, you could disregard the tapes that Michael Cohen made, you can disregard. You know what's really fascinating to me? I have to get this out before we go to the break, and before it's the end of the week, because it's been a great week. But what's so fascinating is that David Pecker. The first witness in this case was Pecker, but the first witness in this case was David Pecker. And the jury, when the jury went to deliberate, they only wanted a few things, right? They wanted the instructions, again, from the judge. because they needed to know what inference meant. Like, what can they infer by hearing this, or what can they infer by seeing that, right? And so they asked for a jury instruction, but they also asked for the August 15th meeting in 2015 in Trump Tower. That was between Michael Cohen, Donald Trump, and David Pecker. It's when Donald Trump first announced he was running for president, and they entered into a conspiracy. You know, it's so interesting because Donald Trump's always out there going, fake news, fake news. And obviously, he was projecting because David Pecker was running a fake news organization called AMI, the National Enquirer, checkbook journalism. They were buying stories and killing them, and they all entered into this conspiracy, which is what the underlying crime is, to trash and bury any negative stories about Donald Trump now that he was running for president to help his campaign, which is an in-kind contribution, okay? Money had value. Anyway, that's what the jury wanted to hear. Now, what's fascinating to me about this is David Pecker, not just his name, which is hysterical when the subject matter is what the subject matter is. However, have you ever heard Donald Trump say a bad word about David Pecker? Because I've never heard Donald Trump say a bad word about David Pecker. And David Pecker was probably him, Hope Hicks, Michael Cohen, and all the documents, Weisselberg's handwriting, his own controller, I always want to call him McConaughey, but it's not. It's McConaughey. All their notes and everything that said that they were plussing up Michael Cohen to make him whole for tax purposes. You know, legal fees aren't plussed up. They're not doubled. They are what they are, and you pay those legal fees. And the lawyer deals with his taxes based on what he's charged you. You know, it's between him and the IRS. It's not between Trump and, Anyway, no, you haven't heard Donald Trump say anything bad about David Pecker. Now, isn't that fascinating? What does David Pecker still control that could somehow ruin Donald Trump's presidential campaign? Again. You know, I'm guessing I know. I'm guessing I kind of have it figured out in my little brain what it might be that keeps Donald Trump from trashing David Pecker, who is completely responsible for this for 34 guilty verdicts. 34. I'm going to make you wait just a few minutes. I wonder if anybody can, deduce. If anybody can think about what it might be. I'll give you a clue. Omarosa knows what it is, too. Okay?
It's Randy at RandyRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, The Randi Rhodes Show.
Someone who worked for The Apprentice has come out and said Donald Trump used the N-word while on the show, and I have to assume his team is pretty thrilled at this revelation. I mean, we all know he's been needing a popularity boost for a minute now, and given his base, this could be just what the doctor ordered. I mean, it's no secret that in MAGA world, nothing excites the base more than someone saying the N-word. I mean, look at some examples from industries that share overlap with MAGA, country music and NASCAR. Country music, Morgan Wallen says the N-word rockets to the top of the charts. NASCAR, Kyle Larson says the N-word next year wins the whole damn championship. This is a proven playbook, y'all. In MAGA land, nothing circles the wagons like an N-word controversy. There's a couple reasons why they love it so much. One, saying the N-word in public is like a litmus test proving to MAGA that you don't have the woke mind virus. It's like that scene in The Thing, only instead of hot needles and blood samples, it's just someone being racist in public. Number two, you know how MAGA's always saying about Trump? He says, well, we're all thinking. Well, what word do you think they spend most of their time thinking? Exactly. They're going to love it. The only question is whether this was a soft A or hard R situation. Those other two guys, soft A's, still got a big bump because of their base. If this is a hard R, though, all bets are off. There's no limit to the moon, Alice. They're going to love it so much. I think this goes beyond just Trump's popularity. I mean, these people, his base, they themselves have been inching closer and closer for years now to saying the N-word in public again. This could be the signal they've all been waiting on to dust off them old N-word bumper stickers and T-shirts they've been saving for a rainy day and start hollering it from the mountaintops like their mamas and papas used to. Could be a paradigm shift in MAGA culture. Only time will tell. God help us all.
Trey Crowder, everybody. Trey. T-R-A-E. Trey Crowder. Trey Crowder. Beautifully done. Okay. Do you think David Pecker has access to that tape? Do you think maybe he's holding it? Do you think so? Because Omarosa actually said and Katrina Pearson too. I have a million tapes of them. Saying Donald Trump did say it, so how do we deal with it? Katrina Pearson just won an election. She's now a congressperson, I think, or a state congressperson. I mean, this is really pathetic. It's really pathetic, but it is the path forward in MAGAland. It is a way to get elected to something. Is just be around that word. Just be N-word adjacent. It'll get you where you need to go in MAGAland.
You have heard this tape?
I heard this tape.
You heard the President of the United States?
The President of the United States use not only the N-word, other horrible things.
Speaking on National Public Radio about her book titled Unhinged, an insider's account of the Trump White House, Manigault Newman claims to have heard offensive recordings of President Trump.
From the reality TV show The Apprentice. And that is what Bill Pruitt, the former producer of The Apprentice, who was covered by an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, for 20 years, it just expired. You could just best believe that, orange man there, convicted felon Donald J. Trump to you, will actually make those NDAs last the rest of your life now. He's learned his lesson from Bill Pruitt. He put him under an NDA for 20 years. The 20 years has come and gone. Woo, time flies. Where did it go? And apparently Bill Pruitt and, what's his name? Mark Burnett, the executive producer. They have the tape. I wonder if they gave it to David Pecker as like an insurance plan. Do you know what I mean?
Obviously, I'd love to hear Trump hit the hard R just to confirm what we all know. I'd love to hear it. But, man, it's the other terrible stuff that Omarosa is referring to. I'd like to hear some of that.
I think we all have heard some of that. I think, he has said that, certain people are vermin and poisoning of the blood and, fascist terminology. I'm sure she's referring to junk like that. But, maybe Melania can come up with some, reference or, to cover it, like locker room talk. That was hers. Melania never showed up for her husband. Do you know that? Do you think MAGA world would actually put up with their wives not showing up for them in their time of need? I don't know. But anyway, did he think that saying the N-word would be less obnoxious 20 years later? What did he think? Why only 20? Why was that? But yeah, so I don't know what David Pecker actually has. But whatever he has, he has. And that is why he's never, ever, ever been rudely described by the fourth grade schoolyard bully, Donald Trump, who gives nicknames to everybody. Everybody.
I honestly think it's his one tangible skill because some of them are hilarious.
Yeah, some of them are really good. I mean, But that's why I like my rap name for it. You know who loves my rap name for him? The one I put out a whole bunch of suggestions for you, and one of them was, Lil Hands, right? The other one was Ice Hole. I love that one. My cousin Sue, hi Sue. Sue loves Ice Hole. She's like, but she got it wrong. She's my older cousin. She got it wrong. Gorgeous girl, but got it wrong, and she's been telling everybody. Ramsey named him Ice Holy. And they're blankly looking at her going, and it's Ice Hole. Ice Hole. Oh! Okay. So she goes, oh, now I know why they weren't laughing. That makes more sense. I love her. I really do. All right. Karen in Wisconsin.
Hi, Randy. First-time caller, long-time listener.
Hey.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a question for you. Somebody that is convicted that's maybe middle class or lower class, usually the judge takes into account their remorse and accountability.
Yep.
I haven't seen that with the convicted Donald Trump guilty. I just wanted your opinion if you thought Judge Merchan would be looking at that also.
Yes, I do. And here's how it goes, Karen, and you're absolutely right. And it has, absolutely nothing to do with class in this instance. What it has to do with is, and I was talking about it yesterday briefly. I don't think we connected the dots so successfully, so let me do it now. Donald Trump will have to go to the 10th floor of that same dingy, disgusting building, okay? And the lawyers that toil in that building say that if you think the courtroom was dinge, wait till you go to the probation office on the 10th floor. It is like smelly, it's gross, it's gray, it's dank, it's dark, and it's dingy. But Donald Trump will have to go there, and he will be interviewed by the probation department, who will then make a report just for the judge. We won't see it, but it's just for the judge, so that the judge can consider if probation is a good option for this particular felon. And yes, they take into account whether or not he has any remorse for what he's done, and the answer clearly is no. B, whether or not he's, threatening the lives of any of the witnesses, the jury members, or the judge, or any of the judge's family members, or the lawyers. Answer there, yes, on TV today. And so it will actually work in a way that will deter the judge from offering probation as a remedy for 34 felony convictions. So, yes, it will come into play, what he's doing right now.
I certainly hope he's in an orange suit. It'll match his hair and his face.
This is my favorite little action figure. It just is. Because you know what, MAGA? We're not afraid of you. You're all just misled. You're very confused. But you can come and nestle in my armpit. I will love you.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randy, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Were you surprised by the verdict?
No, I was not. I've been on so many of the shows on here on MSNBC, and I've told you all along that the facts speak for themselves. The documents speak for themselves. I've listened to so many pundits come on the various shows, including some of the hosts talking about X, Y, and Z. They couldn't be further from the truth. And I would have conversation with my lawyer, Danya, on a regular basis. And I would say, I don't understand it. I just don't understand. How come they don't see the same things that we're seeing? I understand that it makes great headlines and so on, but the facts are the facts. And at the end of the day, the facts are what prevailed here.
So there were documents. Michael Cohen was very busy taping Donald Trump the entire time that he was with Donald Trump, which was 10 years. And when Michael Cohen took a bullet for Donald Trump refused to pay his legal fees. None of this had to happen, you know. Just that none of it had to happen. If he just would have been a decent person and protected his fixer, who went to jail for him, and he would not. And people out there who think, they're living in the hinterlands. Oh, Donald Trump is going to represent you. Donald Trump's going to do for you. He's going to see you. Don't you ever get sick of Donald Trump whining and making every damn thing about himself? Don't you ever get tired of listening to him and his victimhood be on full display? When is he ever going to talk about something that will help your life? When is he ever going to talk about something that will end a war? When is he ever going to talk about something that brings peace to the land? When is he? Never. He only ever talks about himself, and all he ever does is he enters into transactions that he believes benefit him. That's it. That's the depth and the breadth of this man. He's a tawdry soul. And some of these followers have broke brain syndrome. Like they can't think anymore. They see him and they get all excited. Johnny in Texas.
Yes, ma'am, and you are correct, ma'am. Or if you were sir, like Johnny, I would have said, you are correct, sir. That Donald Trump is in trouble because of Donald Trump, not you or me or my Republican next-door neighbors. It's all on him. But as I was listening to that soundbite of Joe Biden on your show a little while ago, listening to him describing to the American people, including MAGA, he was saying how our justice system has worked so well for the past 250 years or whatever. It occurs to me that when MAGA is listening to that, some of them who may know some crooked judges and crooked prosecutors down south and not down south may say, wait a minute. I know lots of black folk who have been railroaded by our side. What's to say that the other side, the lib judges and the lib prosecutors in lib New York, how do we know they're not doing the same thing to our guy? So when they hear Joe Biden, they're not hearing Joe Biden. They're thinking about their own complicity, their own guilt.
No, that's terrible.
Joe Biden says,
well, here's the solution for that. If there are gaps in the justice that we think that we're meting out to people who are standing at the bar of justice, hoping that the system is fair and not rigged, and if there are gaps in that, which we all know there are, right? Because most people don't even make it to trial, okay? Most people don't have the money to make it to trial. And so they plead out for a lesser sentence, right? And some of them are pleading to things they did not even do because the system is so expensive in order, that does not apply to Donald Trump, okay? He could afford, right. And so that this whole idea that the system is rigged against him is bizarre, okay? It's again, it is a phantom thought about broke brains in this country. However, if they do know that the system only works for the elite and it only works for the well-heeled and it only works for the rich and it only works for people who could afford hundreds of thousands of billable hours, then why don't they work to make it better with somebody who actually believes in making it better instead of saying this country is a fascist nation. This country, it's all broken. And supporting people like Alito and supporting people like Clarence Thomas. Why would they do that? Why would they go that way?
Here's my fantasy, not totally related to what you all just said. If I were involved in that committee or that body responsible for preparing that recommendation package for the judge,
yes,
you know what I would include in that? A specially prepared bologna sandwich, a deluxe bologna and Swiss cheese with lettuce and mayo and tomato and a side of hot soup and some fruit and nuts and cheeses and stuff. And I would say to the judge, this is what you can give to Donald in the courtroom as a transition to the basic no-frills bologna that he's going to be fed in prison. And I would love to see Donald's reaction when he sees that fair package with the explanation as to why he's getting it.
Like
that's just me.
I understand. And listen, just to be real about this is a Class E felony. That is the lowest characterization, the lowest classification of a felony in New York State, okay? And it's a white-collar crime, meaning nonviolent crime, and he's probably not going to go to jail, but probation is probably going to elude him as well. Therefore, house arrest is a possibility. A little ankle monitor might be in his future. Community service might be a good thing for him. Do you know what I mean?
Trash pickup.
Yeah.
Trash pickup.
Something. Yeah. I mean, so let's just wait. Let's just wait and see what happens. I doubt very much that he would go to jail for these convictions. However, the gag order violation, after I forget how many verbal warnings to just stop or you'll be fined. I don't remember how many of those there were. There were like 4 or 5 and then 10 fines for violating gag orders, 10 of them. And he said the 11th one, we're going to put you in jail. This is why Donald Trump needs to go to jail. This is the thing that Donald Trump has done. He's put every witness from Pecker, Hope Hicks, the judge's daughter, the jury members, he has put them all in danger with this unhinged rant today. Do you know he called our beautiful country? This is really sad. It's painful, actually. It's really sad and sick. He called our beautiful country a fascist country today. He said that our country had gone full fascist simply because a jury could read documents, a jury could hear audio tapes, a jury could hear him conspiring with David Pecker and Michael Cohen, a jury could hear Michael Cohen setting up a shell corporation to hide the payment to Stormy Daniels, which would have been fine. It would have all been fine if he didn't cover it up. It would have been fine if he just made the payment and declared it as a campaign contribution. Would have been okay. But oh no. He always thinks he can do no wrong and he can get away with whatever, and it finally came back to bite him in the ass. But you know, he always told you he was a snake.
Clear for fatality. This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Hey, Lenora in Massachusetts, this is what I'm talking about. The accordion hands, watch this.
Would have testified. I wanted to testify. The theory is you never testify because as soon as you testify, anybody, if it were George Washington, don't testify because they'll get you on something that you said slightly wrong and then they sue you for perjury. But I didn't care about that. I wanted to. But the judge allowed them to go into everything that I was ever involved in, not this case, everything that I was ever involved in, which is a first. In other words, you could go into every single thing that I ever did. Was he a bad boy here? Was he a bad boy there?
Oh, God.
And my lawyer said, what do you need to go through? And all you wanted to do is testify simply on this case. Because I would have loved to have testified. To this day, I would have liked to have testified. But you would have said something out of whack, like it was a beautiful sunny day and it was actually raining out. And I very much appreciate the big crowd of people outside. That's incredible what's happening.
His brain is broken. It just is. And you know, he didn't testify, not because the judge would have allowed questions about the nooks and crannies of his bad boy life. That he didn't testify because he can't possibly testify. He would have self-immolated. He would have set himself on fire. He cannot tell the truth. He's unable to tell the truth about anything, anytime, anywhere. And there was so many tape recordings and so many documents and ledger entries and tax returns and tax filings and testimony and circumstantial evidence and direct evidence. There was so much that he would have just, and you don't sue, he would have been convicted for perjury as well. He didn't want to testify. He didn't put up any defense. There was no defense. The defense didn't defend him because they couldn't. There was no defense. They tried with that Costello guy, but it just exploded right in their face. And can you imagine Donald Trump on the Oh, I would have paid money. I would have flown to New York, stood in line. I would have just hoped to win the lottery for the, couple of seats that were available for, people to come into the public courtroom. Oh, God, if he was going to test, I would have been there, man. I would have been there.
I do believe he regrets not testifying now, considering the outcome without him. I mean, I do agree that he would have relished a chance in hindsight to get up there and just spew.
In every single solitary trial, and this man has been in a million trials, okay? He's been in tax fraud trials. He's been in business fraud trials. They've been civil trials, and he's been found liable for tax fraud. He's been found liable for business fraud. He's been found liable for running a fraudulent university. He's found liable for defaming E. Jean Carroll. He couldn't stop defaming E. Jean Carroll. And so a $5 million jury verdict went to $88 million jury verdict. Same thing's going to happen here with the gag order. Okay, he is going to double down. He is literally going to light the match. And it almost seems like he wants to go to jail so he could be the ultimate martyr, so he could tell all the maggots out there how much he's suffering for them, which is just a joke. I mean, it's laughable, right? It's hysterical. But in every one of those cases, he said he was going to testify, and he never does. I think he testified for 5 seconds in E. Jean Carroll's case, and he hurt himself so bad that he didn't go back. He didn't go back to the stand. He stopped testifying. But he never testifies. He didn't testify. In fact, the Trump University fraud trial, the Trump Foundation trial, never testified. He settles. And then he lies to you. He says, I never settle nothing because if you do, they just keep coming back and coming back and coming back. He settles everything. He settled the Trump University case for $25 million, settled the fraud case for the charity, $2 million. Can't be, part of a check. I don't think he's because he's convicted of business fraud criminally. I don't think he could be a CEO anymore. Which I think is why Eric showed up, because Eric will be the next, because Junior couldn't stop snorting and, calling America a crap hole.
Obviously, just a sad day for America. Crazy what's going on in this country. Obviously, probably wasn't expecting anything different out of this jury with this biased judge whose daughter's profiteering from this
Biased?
stuff. My father's not allowed to talk about the people. Michael Cohen, who's lied to every congressional body, every banker, every press, his own wife, went to jail for lying, is a upstanding citizen who probably told the truth on this day. Well, the one time he told the truth, folks, it was this time. Absolute freaking insanity. But I'll say this, the Democrats have succeeded in their years-long quest to turn our country into an absolute crap hole.
Oh, bite me, you little ninny. You little Nepo baby. Douchebag. Coke fiend. And what is with your girlfriend? Tell her to stop shooting crap into her freaking lips now and her whole face. She was a pretty girl. She was. I don't know what happens to all these Trump women. They did it to Kristi Noem, too. Kristi Noem was gorgeous. She was absolutely stunning. And they made her, do the Trumpian thing. And now she's all full of, like Restylane in the lips and Juvederm in the face. And she had her teeth, completely redone by a dentist in Texas who she did, online commercials for, I guess, to, quid pro quo, to trade, dental service. What was wrong with her? Nothing. Same thing with Laura Trump. Laura Trump, you could lick her lips and stick her to the wall. She's so inflated.
Trump women have a standard, but it's funny you play
No,
that.
but the standard is weird.
It's weird. All this time I thought Eric was the Fredo.
Yeah.
I don't know so much anymore. I could see Trump Jr. I was passed over. I'm smart. I know things.
Ivanka is the smart one.
Ivanka's the Michael? I think you might be right. I think
definitely.
you might be right.
Definitely. Well, at least the Connie. You know what I mean? I'm here for you, Dad. She actually, last night, she put out, like a 3-word message. Love you, Dad. That was it. That was her. Never showed up. And the reason why she said she didn't show up, according to the media, Fox News, that covers, like her reasons for not being there for her family, her children are old enough to understand Grandpa's, a criminal. I mean, it was like, but Trump is calling us a fascist. I don't even want to play it. It's so insulting that this man would want to be president of a fascist. This is like, I can't. I just I can't breathe when I think about how disgusting this whole freaking family is. How absolutely grotesque they are. Brother David, where have you been?
The Lawrence Arts Center has started its summer youth program. So for the last month, I've been really busy.
Oh, good.
But of course, I had to call you on Friday.
I thought about you in the shower today. Okay.
Oh my Lord!
I know.
I'm just like, well, that makes me tingly, sister.
Yeah. Me too.
First, as to the lips, all I can think of when I see these lips is Ab Fab when Adina has the out-of-body experience and she goes in at Patsy's advice to get collagen and suddenly her lips are bigger than her whole head.
I love that. I love Absolutely Fabulous. I love it. I love everything about it.
Great shout out.
Yeah.
Second, this is, after all, only the first domino that we've been waiting for so long, but it is the first domino of accountability. And I'm going to be real interested to see what happens in the Georgia case. And I repeat my open memo to the DOJ and FBI on the documents case, do underground sonar on the grave site on the golf course. And the last, many things, but last night or yesterday, I'm listening to Ari Melber roll them off, and I'm at the local watering hole here after I'd gotten off work. And I'm, of course, kind of excited.
Yeah.
And an old friend, a bartender, came in the back door, and I went, 34 counts. Well, when he's reelected, he'll just pardon himself. And my jaw dropped.
Ah.
You right?
Well, here's the thing.
Don't gloat. Get out the vote.
Get out the vote. And I'm telling you right now, the idea that we will see on the TV the Georgia trial, dangle that in front of everybody as entertainment.
Exactly.
As entertainment. That will never happen if he's elected, but it will happen if he's not.
Exactly.
So.
And last, because I hear the music. What do we do to get you to be a guest on Trey Crowder and Mark Agee's Weekly Skews?
Oh, I don't know. I guess I could call.
I think you should.
I could.
We
love each other. We really do.
Exactly. It'd be golden.
Yeah, we do.
Gorgeous girdles for everyone.
And not just for the few. Love
you always.
Mwah. Have a great weekend, everybody. I will be in the pool. It is 2,890 degrees outside right now. And so I will be the only way you can be in Florida and survive this, wet all weekend. Hope that gave you tingles. 34, baby. Convicted felon. Good week.